Okay, got a different camera angle today. Hopefully it works a little better. Thanks, Fallen, for helping me troubleshoot, aka just telling me that Twitch isn't working. So today we're making spaghetti. I already pre-filled a pot of water because watching a pot of water get filled up is not that interesting. So we're going to start the water first. We're also working with ground beef today. I've got the beef separated. It's sitting over here on the other side of the pot. We got some tomatoes I'm going to throw in, an onion, and real KJ's fans know we chopped this garlic the other day, so it's just already ready to go in. And I'm not fancy enough to make my own sauce, so we're just using some canned tomato sauce. So first things first, we're going to start the water. Can you hit a dab? Let's see. If I spin the phone, does it flip? Whoa, cool. I guess I didn't really need to move it for this, but we're just going to get this water boiling. The water takes the longest. And throw a little salt in it. We're just going to let that go. Oh, I forgot to get out the other pan we're going to use here. So yeah, that's all you gotta do to start the water. Nothing too crazy there. I'm not gonna dab on stream. Sorry, Fallen. Okay, how do I do this? We rotate the camera. There we go. I'm gonna rinse off these tomatoes real quick. We're actually going to do the tomatoes second after the onions and what would normally be the garlic. I shouldn't have moved that. That looks fine. So or the other day you saw me slice an onion, so today we're going to dice one. So you just cut off the top. Cut it down the middle. Peel off the side. Come on. The first onion I did on stream, the skin came off so easy. I was so happy. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I think people run them underwater or something to loosen up the skin. But we have some time. It takes a while for the water to boil. Spaghetti is one of the easiest things to make if you're new to cooking or kind of lazy. Honestly, you don't even need the onions or garlic or any of this. You can just warm up the sauce. All you got to know how to do is boil noodles. But I add the stuff just to give it a little bit more going on. I'm probably not in frame for this. Okay, so when you dice an onion, the first thing you do is you make a horizontal cut here. I don't know the proper way to do this, but... Okay, and then you're going to do little cuts all the way along it. Maybe I could give you like a better angle where my hand isn't in the way. Like a sky view. Let me play with the camera for a sec before we keep going. So what if we did like that? How does that look? Oh, that looks pretty cool. Champagne leftist. Shut up, Vaughn. Shut up. Okay, so anyway, now that you have them diced, you're going to turn the onion, and very carefully, you'll see a bunch of little onion pieces come off. Nice and easy. Honestly, learning how to dice an onion changed my life. I always, like, anytime I read a recipe that was, like, dice an onion, I was, like, great. Because before I would just kind of cut it randomly until it was really small. So once it gets too small to hold here, you can flip it down and kind of cut off these last little parts. Okay, and I had a part break loose here. I'm just going to individually cut this real quick. Okay. We're going to go through on this one again. I cut that part too deep. So onion, when you cut it, it always looks like it's way too much. Like this looks like a ton of onion, right? But onion cooks down a lot, so this actually won't be that much. You'll see. Okay. So we've got our onion chopped, and we're going to throw in the tomatoes a little after this other stuff starts. Because tomatoes, as I mentioned in the previous stream, they get kind of mushy. And I like them to kind of maintain their texture a little. So, let's go over to... That looks really bad with that in the frame. Let me rotate the camera really quick. Okay, so we got our pan here. I'm just going to check chat really quick. He made the spaghetti. Yeah, I'm making spaghetti. Just checking the water. Okay, so really easy in this pan, we're just going to throw a little bit of olive oil in here. You don't need a ton because we're going to cook the meat in here. as well, just a little bit. That's probably more than enough. We're going to throw in the garlic first. I do this at about medium heat. So, just using all that pre-chopped garlic that we had from the other day. Sorry, I'm looking for a spoon that I'd want to use for both serving and preparing here. We can use this one. Just make sure all the garlic touches the oil. I'll probably reverse the way that these are set up. Usually I do the water on the back, but I wanted it to boil quicker. And my front burner is the highest burner in the building, the hottest one. So I put it up there, because the water is always the last thing to get done. So you see it's bubbling up, the oil gets a little more translucent, which you probably can't see with the camera quality. So we're just going to dump the onions in now. Give those a little mix. We'll let this cook for just a minute here. And in the meantime, we'll prep the tomatoes. Now these are Roma tomatoes, I think they're called. Yeah, I saw a Reg comment about onions in the chat. I'm sorry, Reg, but so much stuff comes with onions, you're just gonna have to deal. I'm just cutting out the core, but I want to save these parts that are still not core. One more. So the tomatoes we just happen to have extra. I think I bought them to put on sandwiches or something. But, like I said, all this stuff is optional. You can just use the sauce if you wanted, and it would still come out great. I'll do the tomatoes the other way that I was talking about yesterday, or the other day. The other stream. Where you can cut them into slices and then cut them like pizzas. I don't know. My brother did. He watched the last stream and he didn't complain about the way I cut tomatoes, so maybe I did it right last time. But of course I'm going to do it differently this time, so he will yell at me. Oh yeah, I suggested doing like a pizza cut, but because these ones are really small, rather than the fat tomato I was working with last time. So I'm just trying to get this chopped up real quick so we can get back to the hot stuff. Yeah, this is probably cut up enough. So we're not going to add this in quite yet, but we're going to come back over to our hot pan. Okay, and I see the water's boiling, so I'm actually going to swap these really quick. Okay, and I have some raw beef, so I'm going to put this in the pan and I'm going to immediately wash my hands afterwards. So as not to cross-contaminate anything else that I'm working with. Left you guys looking at the boring thing. Hold on. That doesn't work. Sorry, you were in full frame of the camera. Okay, anyway. We're going to break this meat up and stir it in. Turn this down. I forgot this was the one that was at high heat. So we're only cooking one dish, so it's pretty easy, but you want to remember that this spatula has touched raw meat, so you don't want it to touch anything else but what's in this pan now. Because again, you want to avoid cross-contaminating with anything else. So I'm just making sure everything's broken up. You don't want any big meat chunks in spaghetti. If you're making tacos, maybe it doesn't matter as much. Or, I can't think of other things that just have mashed up ground beef. But, you know, you want to consider how you want it to be. And this is supposed to be a sauce, even though the meat takes up a lot of it. But you still want it to be, like, easy to eat with noodles, you know? So you want that meat to be broken up as much as possible. Usually I have a spatula holder, but it's dirty from when we used it yesterday. Just gonna use a paper towel. And then we'll throw some seasoning in here. Some salt. Black pepper. And then you can get individual seasonings like oregano and whatnot. But I just have Italian seasoning that I'm going to use. Just put a ton of this in. We'll stir that all in. My mouth is watering. I'm already loving the smell of this. Okay, we're going to throw the tomatoes in here. And then I'm going to throw the noodles in the water. So we just use regular spaghetti noodles. Sorry, I might be breathing like right into the microphone right now. So I get about a handful and a half of spaghetti noodles. Usually you can just get a box, but we have ours in like a separate container. Now the noodles, as soon as you put them in the water, they're going to start softening up, and you don't want them to stick to each other. So hopefully you have one of these. Specifically made for handling noodles. And you want to make sure the noodles are fully submerged under the water. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. You can't really see it, but so they're fully under the water there. And we're just going to leave that going, usually about 13 minutes, I think. So over here we're going to stir in the tomatoes. Throwing the tomatoes in a little later, like I said, it lets them keep some of their form, and they won't soften up as much as the rest of the stuff, so they don't just become part of the sauce. But I might have thrown them in a little too late. I got fixated on breaking up the meat chunks. I should have thrown the tomatoes in earlier, but it's okay. It'll still turn out great. And that's another thing that makes spaghetti a great beginner dish, is that it's another one of these dishes that's really hard to mess up. And again, all of this stuff is optional. If you don't want tomatoes, if you don't want onions, you don't have to add that stuff. And it will still turn out great. Make sure you stir your noodles so they're not getting stuck together or stuck to the bottom of the pot. No, the cats don't eat spaghetti. Sorry, I'm reading through chat right now. Oh, you dropped the calendar into the sink? Alright, here's one of the cats. I think you can see them over here. Oh, she's nervous about being on the camera. Yeah. So yeah, right now we're just, everything's just cooking. So we're just stirring things. Nothing too special going on. So the meat, basically you want to cook it until you don't see anything pink anymore. And then I cook it a little bit more than that. So probably another 2 to 3 minutes here. I'm just making sure all the stuff on the side of the pan gets mixed back in and isn't just cooking on the side. Oh yeah, but dropping your noodles into the sink, that'll definitely ruin spaghetti. Now that you mention it, I need to figure out how I can straining the noodles. I don't think I have a good way to do it. You guys might just not get to watch the magic there. I'm not very good at that. There's a recipe I do with potatoes where you can't stir them because they're too soft and you'll break them up, where you have to cook it all by flipping it like that. I'm not too good at it yet. The potatoes turned out great though. So the only way to know if your noodles are done is to test them. And if you like them, then they're done. And if you don't, then they're not done. Yeah, those are not ready yet. But we're going to strain the meat sauce. Well, if you want to come hold the camera, you can come hold the camera. I'm not here. Okay. Okay, so what I do to strain out the beef is I've got a glass pan here that's just going to catch the grease. And then my regular strainer. Yeah, I don't really have any good way to show this to you. Maybe if I put you in a measuring cup? No, that's not going to work. Alright, I'm just going to hang you guys back up. You can watch the noodles boil for a minute. Okay, I'm going to strain this out. When you strain this, you don't necessarily need to completely degrease it. You just don't want your sauce to be completely greasy, you know? Okay, those noodles are right about done. Which means I gotta hurry up. So I'm just going to add the sauce, turn down the heat a little, stir this in. Okay, and I gotta pull these noodles, so I'll stir this a little more thoroughly in a minute. That's getting risky. But I gotta practice. Okay, so I stir the noodles. Usually I take the time to cool off the pot, and then I put them back in the pot, but I'm not doing that right now. Actually, I could do that right now. Take a couple ice cubes. Throw it in there. Sorry, that was probably really loud on the stream. So our sauce is basically done. You just want to give everything a little bit of time to get to know each other in there. So one last little trick. I'll bring the cutting board over and do this safely. One last little trick is with the noodles, add some butter to them. We're going to use all this butter. And stir that in. You don't really have to add the butter, but if you don't, the noodles will start to get dry really quick and stick to each other a lot. So the butter just helps them stay separated and also taste delicious, obviously. Alright, that's it. I'll put put it in a bowl so you guys can see the finished product. And if you want, you can put Parmesan on there. My girlfriend doesn't like too much sauce. There you have it. Spaghetti. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm gonna go eat dinner now. It was fun. Now drop it on the floor. That wasn't a whole stick, it was a third of a stick, you weirdos. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.